And welcome back for my Friday the 13th edition of Ghosted by Jonathan. Now, I've got a couple of cool stories that occurred on Friday the 13th in 2017 when I was up doing tours at Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Now, in October at the time, Waverly would put on a fake haunted house on the first floor to raise money to put back into the building. Now, they had kind of a fast pass, like a VIP experience, that if you paid extra, you could spend 10 minutes on the second floor, the third floor, the fifth floor, and then basically you use that as a fast pass to go down and get in the front of the line for the fake haunted house. So a lot of people did that at the time. So my volunteering was I wanted to be on the third floor to lead the groups down and do that kind of 10-minute paranormal experience on the third floor. It's one of my favorite floors, had a lot of activity, which you will see in a lot of videos that'll be coming out, kind of my Waverly experiences. So that night, I'm standing there in the dark, and so basically you had somebody at the one end of the hallway that would kind of lead the group halfway. I would pick up the group, take them the other way, the other half down the third floor. And then we had another volunteer who was at the stairs to make sure people went where they were supposed to go up to the fifth floor. And then when they were coming back down, not to wander around in the building. So I'm standing there in the dark and your eyes adjust. And right across the elevator where there was a story, and I don't know if it's fact or fiction, where a homeless man was killed in the building and thrown down the elevator shaft. So I'm literally across from the area where that happened, reportedly so. And I'm standing there and I look over against the wall next to me, and there's this tall shadow of what appears to be a man against the wall, and then all of a sudden it lunges off the wall at me. So I'm standing there and I kind of like do that, like what the hell is going on? And then the shadow's gone. So that freaked me out, as it would probably freak anybody out. So the night was just getting started, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a wild night in here. And Friday the 13th has nothing to do with the supernatural. It's actually a day in history where the Templar Knights were killed by the church and had all their gold and valuables stolen. So there's no really supernatural connotation to it, where it's going to be a more haunted holiday because it's Friday the 13th. So anyway, kind of a brief history lesson there. So as I'm standing there, the night's getting later, leading hundreds of people down the hallway over the course of, 5-6 hours. And as the night was starting to wind down, I yelled down to John, who was standing at the door, and said, hey, do you want to cut through one of the rooms and take a look at the parking lot to see how many cars are left so you can kind of figure out, all right, how much longer we're all going to be up there? Now, in Waverly, you have the center hallway on like the second, third, and fourth floors, and then on both sides of the hallway are the patient rooms. So on one side of it, it leads out to the solarium, kind of a sun porch, if you want to think about that, through the patient rooms. They would wheel patients out there to get fresh air, sunlight, etc., back when the building was in existence and operating as a TB sanatorium. Now, John walks down, and we're standing in front of these double wooden doors to the patient room. And so I pull these doors open, and we start to enter the room to cut through to the solarium. And we look down and we see footprints. Now you can see one of them definitely looks like toes, and it looks like, they're barefoot. Nobody in their right freaking mind would be walking around there without shoes on. Secondly, I was standing right by that door the entire night, and nobody came down the hallway and went in the door and like walked through the water. One of the points I think I forgot to mention was that it had been raining the night before, raining earlier that day, and so the building leaks and water puddles up in various areas of the building. So coming out of the dampness and the water basically were those footprints. Nobody came around the backside and went into the room and faced the other way to walk through the puddles and leave footprints. So there was no logical explanation from it. You can see it's date stamped, it's time stamped. Those are footprints, and especially the ones that look like toes, like just crazy. Now, one of my first experiences in Waverly dealt with footprints coming out of a puddle, which I'll tell in a separate video, but here we go again. The footprints are there. So unexplained activity, something was in there. and cause those footprints. So pretty cool Friday the 13th up at Waverly Hills.